Okay, all the time you hear people talk about you got to think bigger, you got to think bigger. There's a book that I just recently read, The Magic of Thinking Big, and I know what you're thinking, Stewman, you should have read that book a long time ago. And you're right, it's a great book, right? And there's lots of books out there that talk about thinking bigger, but most of us don't know what thinking bigger is, right? If you're like me and you come from humble beginnings, thinking bigger for me in the beginning was making $100,000 a year, which is great money, by the way. I know a lot of people shit on that. I'm not here to shit on that. I'm just saying that thinking big at one point in my life, 100 grand was big. From there, thinking big, 250 grand, didn't know anybody that made that kind of money. So that was thinking huge to me, $250,000. When I discovered that I had the capacity, ability, and actually earned $1 million in a year, I had never thought that was even possible for me. We all dream about it, but was it possible, right? Because I didn't know how to think big. But then when I got around people that thought big. See, I thought 100 grand was big, and then I thought $1 million was big, right? And it is. I'm not shitting on either one of those numbers, but there's bigger numbers out there, right? And that 100 grand's not appealing to Warren Buffett or Bill Gates, right? You couldn't borrow 100 grand from them. It's not worth the time to sign the paperwork to get the interest on that, even if they charge you 100% interest. It's said that if Bill Gates drops a $100 bill on the ground, it's better for him to keep walking than to take the time to pick it up money-wise. Okay, so thinking about that, what happens to so many people is they get trapped in their own little small thinking. We're victims of the thermostat set around us, right? So we become the average of the 5 people. That's what we're the thermostat. They set the temperature that we run at, the 5 people that we spend time with. If we have 5 people that think on a $250,000, $500,000, $1 million level, that's big thinking to you and them in your circle. But at the same time, that's as big as it's going to get. When I leveled up my circle to include people with 9-figure net worths and 10-figure net worths at this point too, I've been fortunate enough to befriend a couple of people that have done billion-dollar deals and are on the Forbes list and everything else. And that's been huge for me because I'm having a conversation with one of them the other day. This gentleman's done a multi-billion-dollar exit from business recently. He's one of my mentors, one of my best friends, and a Texan guy. I love this guy. And he says, we're sitting at the table and they're trying to get me to buy these companies. There's 3 companies that they've packaged together and they're trying to get me to finance the package for them, Stewman. And I told them I didn't want those companies, but I was going to do the deal. And I said, okay, well, what if you didn't want them? Man, goddamn, you're rich as shit, man. You're so rich that you're just buying shit that you don't even want. Like, we're talking, by the way, guys, we're talking 9 figures buying and financing these things. Like him being the financier, not him being the person financing it, not the person taking the loan. And we're talking 9-figure buyout here. So this guy's not writing a cheap-ass check. So I'm like, damn, you're so rich. And I know this guy. He's one of my best friends. You're so rich that you're just going to buy these companies for 9 figures even though you don't want them. Is it because they're profitable? They got a little profit behind them. Was it because you can sell them? Well, I could eventually sell them. But what I really want is a distributor that sells to these 3 companies, and they refuse to sell me their business. So I'm going to buy these 3 companies together, packaged as a deal, which are the biggest consumers of that distributor's product. And I'm going to cut that fucking distributor off until they bleed to death. And then I'm going to buy that fucking distributor at a fucking discount when they should have sold it to me at full price, because I'm going to go with their competitor until that happens. And I thought, well, goddamn. See, now that's thinking big. But see, I would never think like that. I'm thinking, well, for me as a salesman, I'm going to finesse the distributor a little bit, right? I'm going to wine and dine somebody. I'm going to make them an offer they can't refuse. I'm going to give them more money, whatever, right? This person's thinking about fucking cutting them off, shorting them, and buying them, and then fucking making it cheaper for everybody else in the industry because he says they're too greedy right now, okay? That's thinking big. So I wouldn't be able to think on that level if I wasn't around this person and people like him. Right? When I thought thinking big was $1 million, and again, I am not shitting on $1 million. It's a ton of money. But once I hit that level, I can't still think like $1 million if I'm going to continue to grow. I have to think like 100 million, 10 million, a billion, whatever that number is. Buying the distributor at a discount is how I have to think if I'm going to continue to grow. So when you're out there and you're thinking whatever number you got in your head, whatever thing that you think is big right now, think bigger. It ain't big enough. Rise above.